Hi Sequels friends, it is the first Friday of a new month and you know what that means. It is time to talk about what sold for the month of September. So let's get right into it. Hi Sequels friends, if you've been here before, thank you so much for tuning in again. I really do appreciate your support. And if you're new, my name is Heather and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark, eBay, Etsy, and now dabbling in Thrilling, which you'll hear a bit more about later. So if you like all things reselling, some thrifty content, as well as unboxings from places like ThredUp and Jomar, then you are in the right place. You might as well get it over with. Go ahead, hover over that Sequels icon and click the subscribe button. First up, let's talk about total numbers. September to August sales were pretty flat. I mean, I had a 3% increase, but to me, that's pretty much overall, pretty much flat. The total gross sales came in at $1,528, and the net sales, which is after all the platform fees, any shipping costs, any shipping discounts, any sort of offers or anything like that, came in at $998.40. I sold about the same amount of units, which seems to make sense when you make about the same amount of dollars. So my units were fairly flat, again at just a 4% increase, and I sold 52 versus the 50 units I sold in August. Now my ROI did dip a little bit. In August, I had some unrealistic, remarkable ROI. That is my return on my investment of 72%. So that means anything that I sold, I ended up putting 72% of it in my pocket. This month, I'm back down to my yearly average, which is 65%. And looking back on that, I think the reason why that jumped up is because I sold so many things from around the house on Facebook Marketplace that were not only a higher dollar amount, but also there's no platform fees since everything was pickup. So I think that's why I had a little shot up in ROI. My average sale price dipped just a tad, but pretty much still fairly flat. Last month it was at $19.46, and this month we're at $19.20. Always trying to get above the $20 mark. The higher the better in my book. That means I'm bringing in more money, putting more money in my pocket and doing less effort, but I seem to be hovering. It took me forever to get to this 19 range, and now I seem to be hovering there. And I have been tracking my inventory to kind of get a roundabout idea of how long it's taking items to sell. On average, it is taking about 150 days for an item to sell, which is 5 months, which seems a bit ridiculous to me. And I did have 2 items that took over a year to sell, which is still a little odd to me because it means that when I have inventory for over a year, it may sell. I'd rather move through things a little bit quicker, but with focusing on vintage a bit more, I was averaging about 3 months and now I've dropped down to 5, and I'm assuming that may be part of it because those items are higher price point. They are looking for a very specific consumer and therefore they do take a little bit longer to sell. I do want to mention also that my markdowns are starting to drop again. Typically throughout the year my markdowns have come in around 8 or 9%, but the last few months of summer they've been up to as high as 20%. But here in September, I've dipped back down to 12%. So I know I preached it all during the summer's months that if you're going to mark down things, you might as well mark them down before summer because people are really looking for those deals, and it makes sense because the big box retailers do that. So we've kind of trained consumers to look for that during the summertime. And now that we're into fall, I'm starting to see those markdown sales slow down. Now, I love to share some of my goals with you, and I want to share with you some of the things that I accomplished. I wanted to make sure that I sourced a ThredUp box of scarves, and I did do that, and I shared that with you on my channel earlier this week. And I also was thinking about getting another jewelry box, which I ended up picking up a Jomar costume jewelry box. It's my first time ever picking up that box from them, and I can't wait for that to come in so that I can share it with you. Overall, I have about 93 pieces of jewelry in stock right now, and after that ThredUp box, 43 scarves. That is only counting the items that are regular price. So I think I may end up picking another scarf box or two up before holiday, as I really love to run promos on scarves and jewelry at 50% off, and I really want to stock up for that. Another goal that I'm super happy about accomplishing is I did hit 95, or for almost accomplishing, I did hit 95 listings for the month of September. I had been hovering about at 50-55 throughout the summer, and I've noticed that my sales did take a nosedive. So I'm really putting forth the extra effort to try to beef that back up to 100. And I also think that will help during, the super busy fourth quarter. Well, I took it upon myself when doing this analysis to think, well, what were my sales like last September, to kind of help put my mind at ease, hopefully, that my sales were at least matching the year prior. And I found some pretty interesting facts. I actually ended up totaling my entire sales year to date, so January through the end of September, and last year I netted, or my net, I always say netted, I don't know that that's the right terminology. Last year my net came in at $5,624. So that was for the entire first 9 months of the year. So I did the same thing for this year because I just wanted to remind myself, maybe summertime's slow, but maybe I'm still getting my numbers close to last year, still pat myself on the back. It's an increase and not a decrease. Well, I was shook. Let me tell you, shook to figure out that my net for this year has come in at $10,652. That's an 89% increase to last year, and I've almost doubled my sales from last year. So while I do know that I could put a bit more effort in than what I did during the summer, I also need to say, hey, enjoy your summer, enjoy taking some of that time off, because you are still killing it. Things are looking down. Look at it from a different perspective. And those numbers really helped me feel less defeated and more motivated to take on fourth quarter. So let's get into my handy dandy charts, where I love to share with you what categories are best performing for me, along with how my breakdown is by platform. So dresses has popped back up. Dresses, shoes, and tops are always my three best performing categories, and dresses has popped back up to the top, doing 12% of the unit sales on 10% and bringing in 10% of the dollars. Home, I've sold through several items because it's come from my home, and I've done 10% of the total units, which brought in 23% of the total dollars. I have brought in more money because the things that I sold from my house were higher price points, which you'll see when I go through the BOLO items. Jewelry has brought in 12% of the total units, but only 8% of the total dollars. That would make sense. Jewelry and tops are good, really well-performing categories, but they do bring me in a lower average sale price. Let's skip over shoes and go to tops, since I just mentioned that. It came in at 13% of the sales and 8% of the dollars, so pretty much jewelry and tops are about the same. And then shoes brought me in 17% of the total unit sales and made 17% of the total dollar sales. Not too shabby at all. I do want to mention the two gray spots are two categories I really need to focus on when I am outsourcing. Intimates, I have hardly any, and I have been selling them, and I do know that during fourth quarter intimate sales increase, so I really want to be on the lookout for that when I'm out thrifting. And then also pants. I just seem to have a hard time finding pants that are in a decent size, but with how much the trouser pant is big, the wide leg pants are big, that dark academia look is big, I really have some categories to be out on, or some categories of pants to be out on the lookout for. So I really need to beef that up, especially again going into fourth quarter and cooler weather. Sales by platform, Poshmark brought in 47% of the total dollar sales. eBay brought in 21%. Etsy is doing its thing by bringing in 13. I don't sell through many units, only 3 units, but it brought in 13% of the total dollar sales because I do sell higher price point of goods over on Etsy, and that's why I will continue to go after that business. And then Facebook, just 3 items sold from around the house, but again, they were higher ticket items, and it ended up bringing in 23% of my total dollar sales, which is nothing to be ashamed of at all. Now, if only I could sell some other shit over on Facebook besides stuff from around my house, I'd really be bringing in some money. Now let's talk about your guys' favorite thing to see, which are my BOLO items. Some of these are just really cool items that sold. Some of them are true brands that I would be on the lookout for when I'm sourcing. So let's get right into it. They are just in order of how they sold because that's how they are listed on my spreadsheet. This wool mark, 100% 100% wool midi skirt, pleated midi skirt, very, very dark academia vibes, even had that tag in there. This came from a Jomar box, the Jomar vintage viscose girl sweater weather box, and I had it listed on Poshmark for $49. I took an offer of $39 and ended up netting $25.06 as there was a higher cost of goods of $6.14. This is an AC unit that's been in my basement that I sold. I had it listed for $150, took an offer for $100. Nope. Confirmed an offer for $100. They countered at $80 once they got here, and I took it. This is a hitch specifically for Dodge Nitro. Behold, somebody came in and I had it listed for $80 and they bought it for $80. So $80 straight in my pocket since it was a pickup and there was no platform fees. This sucker sold quickly. I had it listed on the 5th and it sold by the 12th. You guys definitely want to be on the lookout for this vintage plaid, very 90s. If you're around in the 90s, you definitely will recognize these tartan plaids and the silhouettes that were so popular. It was just a long midi jumper dress. I bought it for $3.50 at Goodwill when I was traveling with my friend over in the Knoxville area. I had it listed for $39. It sold on Poshmark for $34 and I netted $23.70. This chaise lounge, I purchased this at Salvation Army probably between 5 and 8 years ago. Cleaned it up and it looked really nice. Love the styling, love the silhouette. I'll show a picture of it if I can find a picture of it looking good. And then I got a pup. Think about what you name your dogs because I swear that they become what you name them. And Mad Max ended up eating it. And I kept saying I was gonna fix it and I just hadn't gotten around to it, so I figured I should just go ahead and list it and see if anybody who would want to reupholster it could enjoy it. So I bought this at Salvation Army for I think $25 and I ended up selling it in this condition for $60, so ahead of the game on that one. Eileen Fisher, I hear so many people say whether or not this still sells. I got this in a baggage claim bag. I had it listed originally for $39 and was getting a lot of likes but no hits, so I lowered the price to $29. I ended up taking an offer, or I ended up selling it for $29 plus they pay the shipping on eBay, so it came to $34.99 and I ended up netting $20.23. Jack George, if you watched my travel to thrift for Charlotte, you know I picked up this bag at Salvation Army for $6. Just like the look of it, it looked like quality leather, and then figured out that this is definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. Listed it for $64, sold it on Poshmark for $64 and netted $45.21. Definitely be on the lookout for that brand. This 90s Hootie and the Blowfish vintage single stitch tee came in a thread up DIY t-shirt box. It had a hole on it, it had a stain on it, but I know single stitch and it was Hootie and the Blowfish, a band tee. Somebody would want it. Listed it for $49 and ended up selling it on Etsy for $49. I do offer free shipping on Etsy, so after cost of goods and shipping, I ended up making $38.91. This vintage wool fisherman sweater came in that Jomar viscose girl sweater weather box. I was really excited about this 100% wool sweater, but as it had high retail values, I actually listed it for $69. I've had several likes and a lot of interest in it, but it is itchy as heck. So when we went back and forth several times, and when somebody offered me $40 on it, I just said, just take it, because I don't want to deal with it anymore. Between the higher cost of goods, again $6.14, I still ended up netting $25.86. These vintage Nina black satin pumps I had listed everywhere across all the platforms for $29, and I don't know why, but on Etsy I accidentally listed them at $59. I don't know why. Now sometimes on Etsy my price will be a little bit higher because I offer free shipping, and then I just, you know, add the shipping in. But there's no way I needed that much shipping added in. So I don't know why. And the only time I figured out that I listed that incorrectly was when this person came in and bought them for the full $59 asking price. So I ended up selling them for $63.16 with tax, and after cost of goods and platform fees and shipping, I still ended up making $45.70. This vintage Talbot's cottagecore dress I found at a local thrift store. I had it listed at $49. Again, it was another item that was getting a lot of hits, but nobody was grabbing it. So I ended up lowering it to $39. And then I had somebody, after I did that, somebody sent me an offer for $29. So I really like the cottagecore aspect of it, and that's why I bumped up the price. But then when I started thinking about it, I can't get rid of anything from Talbot's. I can't get rid of it on clearance half the time. So I was like, my price is still maybe a bit high. When somebody offered me $29 for it and I realized I paid $1.82 for it, I just took the offer. And after platform fees, I ended up making $21.38. This is a vintage malachite bracelet that came in one of my DIY Goodwill repurposed jewelry boxes. I have had this since January, and it was going to be on clearance next month. And my clearance is 55% off. So I was very excited when somebody grabbed it. I ended up lowering the price, as I do typically. Sometimes will lower the price a month or two before I put it on clearance to see if I could still get rid of it for, you know, 20% off. I ended up lowering the price to $29 on Poshmark and on Etsy. No, on Poshmark and on eBay, but I did not lower the price on Etsy. This has been working out to my advantage, to forgetting to go change things on Etsy, because I ended up selling it for the original $39 price. It came to $42.46 with tax. After, again, I do offer free shipping over there, so after shipping and platform fees, I netted $35.29, which is much closer to what I was anticipating making on this item, and really glad I made that mistake. These are from that same Jomar shoebox. They were new with tags, vintage Charles Jordan. I've gotten like 4 or 5 pairs of pumps in various colors, all the same size. I had it listed for $49. They sold for, I took an offer of $39 on them on eBay and ended up making $23.23. And then this, if you just watched my thread up scarf box, this item along with 2 or 3 other ones have already sold, but this one netted me over 20 bucks. It is that Calvin Klein wooded gorgeous scarf. This was the one that I saw only one listing and it was at $49. I listed mine at $39. We went back and forth on offers, and I eventually took her offer of $30 and netted $22.93. I did not highlight one of the items. One of the items that sold that I wanted to mention was I started cross-listing on Thrilling, and within a week I had sold an item, and they were items that I had in my shop since January. So they were about to go on clearance. They are these 2 sets of screwback clip-on earrings, vintage. Somebody had just given these to me, so no cost of goods. I had them listed for $24. They sold for $24, and as Thrilling takes only 10%, that means I netted $21.60. Thrilling cross listing is super easy. The platform's a little bit different than any other platform, as they do a lot of the work for you. If you guys are interested in learning more about Thrilling or would like me to do a video on it, please go ahead and comment below, and that is definitely something that I will work on. And if, as always, if you found this video useful, helpful in any sort of way, feel free to comment, like, and share. Your interactions really do help me, and if you haven't done so already, why don't you just do it? You know it doesn't cost you a damn thing. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the bell so that you're notified every time I list a new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for the support, and I will see you next week with some more reselling content. Have a good one, guys. Bye. It and stop putting so much pressure on yourself, which is just a me thing. So